Hi, how's everyone out there doing? This is Amy Hamilton, author of The Project Manager Life as a Project and The Consummate Communicator Character Traits of True Professionals. This is 24 authors in 12 hours. And I am really, really excited to be introducing our next guest today, Dr. Asari V. And can you share with our audience where you're located at right now?
Well, at present, I'm living in Kerala, which is in India. I'm from India.
Wonderful. One of the things I really love about the adventures of the world today is it before we were kind of limited to our geographic space, and now I'm able to have this interview with you. I'm super excited, and what I really think is important about this book is really kind of directly related into the times that we're living in. Could you please share with our audience today what inspired you to write your book, Dr. Asari V?
Thank you, Amy. So let me congratulate you first for hosting such an event, and thank you for inviting me in this event. So, About Dawn of 2020 is my debut novel. This is based on the incidents during the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. So, from early childhood, I'm an ardent reader of classic books, and during my school days and my college days, I used to write journals and research papers, but never a book actually. But when this COVID lockdown came, as happened with everyone, we are all stranded at their houses. We are all left jobless for a few months. So I was like very happy at the moment because in the beginning, it was like after a long span, I've got an opportunity to sit at home doing nothing to be specific. But after a few while, I just thought time is an essence. Time is of essence in everything, and time is a precious gift which we never get once it's gone. So I thought, what if I made use of this time to do something creative? And I never thought I was gonna write a book, so I just started with collecting some facts about the COVID-19. And I wrote my first draft, and it resembled a documentary though. But like I said, I'm a good reader of fiction and classic science fiction novels. So I don't want my first book to be a documentary for the fact. And I rewrote the whole thing and I made it into a fiction medical thriller to be specific. And the book is out by God's grace.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's an interesting take because people look at COVID very detrimental, but your book has sort of a romantic aspect to it.
Yes, of course. As it is a fiction medical thriller, I have included all the elements of human relationship. There is love, romance, betrayal, friendship, everything I have included in the story. And the story is based on the real incidents that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, how we survived this lockdown, and how the government, the policemen, the delivery guys, everybody, all the frontline health workers. So it is like a tribute to all the people who have faced the battle against the COVID-19 war.
And I think that is such a great thing that you're doing too, because during this time we talk a lot about the importance of the healthcare workers, and your story brings the importance of the healthcare workers and sort of their lives behind the scenes. So a lot of times we might think of them as these invincible people, like they're there in the hospitals, but this brings them out of the hospital and into their personal lives.
Yes, I'm a doctor by profession. And so I wrote the story based on the incidents that happened during the COVID-19, as well as some incidents in my professional life. So mostly it brings out the struggles, the fears, the challenges faced by doctors in today's world.
I think it's really important. I'm going to share the link to your book. And I think another just amazing thing about technology is that, this is a book that might not have made it into US markets in a different lifetime. It would have been very hard for you to distribute, but now people can just go right online, right to Amazon and pick up this book.
Yes, actually, I published it a few months back, and it still gets time to make it promoted to the whole world. But of course, it is available on many international platforms like Amazon, and it is available as ebook as well as in the paperback form. You can get from Kobo and Ingram also.
Great. We have a lot of people who are starting to comment into your chats. Unfortunately, I can't read all of them because of language barriers here. So one of the things I'd like to talk to you about is, as a writer, you said that you took this partly from personal experience, that you were not an experienced writer. This is your first novel, correct?
Okay. Yes,
So,
it's correct.
so as a writer, what kind of challenges did you face? Did you have writer's block or anything, or any time when you like had problems in your character development?
Well, it was tough at the beginning because the hardest thing is to start. I don't know where to start. So I just collected some from bits and scratches. I collected a few information from newspapers, from the website about the COVID-19, the measures we take. And of course, I gathered them and then I made the story in another way and I just merged the two. And of course, it was very difficult because every time I read my draft, I feel like, oh, this plot is not going to work. This plot doesn't match with the story. And I just have to change it every time I read. So, and it's like the fifth draft I have finally given for editing.
I think that that's a really good point. Is for authors out there, is it you've got to just keep going, keep trying. You'll realize that some parts that you absolutely love, maybe your readers don't love, and you've got to make those adjustments and those changes. So,
Yeah,
as an author
definitely.
and a doctor, how do you merge those two activities together? It seems two things that are like not at all the same.
Yes, that's what I already told in the beginning because by profession I'm a doctor and the COVID-19 had left me jobless for a few months. So I devoted myself to writing. And at that time, I had ample time to spend for writing because the business hours, the hospitals, they were closed and only the emergency services were working. So I was almost free the whole day.
Wow. So you had this time, and you said time is a precious resource. And this is something that, as a project manager, I really tell people all the time. It's the one thing that you don't get back. And I do want to say thank you. I know that you're in India, and what time is it there right now?
Well, at the present, it is 7:30.
Wow. And I know that just coordinating this, it was like really a lot of effort to make sure that we would be here at the same times, because it is interesting to be there on the half hour. And, the fact that you're donating your time today to this audience is really valued, because, it is the one resource that we don't get back. So now that COVID has kind of advanced a bit, people are getting the vaccine. Are you able to go back to work again?
Yes, at the present, we are almost back to normal. Of course, we take some precautions, but we have started our routine hospital services.
It's really interesting because this is an international book festival. We have people from different areas of the world, South Africa, India, New Zealand. And depending on the pandemic and if there's been flare ups or not, some people are almost back in lockdowns and other people are back into living almost traditional lives.
Yes, people are almost just scattered, and even till date, many people are hindered from going to their own place. They just stuck at their workplace, unable to travel. And of
Yeah.
course, with the advent of vaccines, there is a promising future, though.
Yeah, that's very hopeful. One of the things that I want the audience to know is that my books, The Consummate Communicator, Character Traits of True Professionals, as well as The Project Manager, Life is a Project, are available for Kindle download free for the entire day, January 20th. So please check those out, download those books. And do you have any promotionals or specials you want to talk about today?
Yes, my book is available on Amazon, like I told, as ebook and the paperback forms, and I give exclusive discounts on special occasions such as the New Year, Christmas, and all the occasions.
Wonderful. So check the book out. The link has been put into the chat session for you. One of the interesting things about your book too is it has you did a lot of research in it, and I think that's probably as a doctor something that comes naturally to you. What's your advice for authors out there to start looking at and really doing research on character development? Is it newspapers like what you did, or are there other things that you used as well? Did you actually interview anybody?
Well, regarding the COVID incidents, I collected the data from mainly the newspapers and the website because everywhere in the social media, it is like how we survive this COVID situation. And the story, I have developed a plot based on my imagination and creativity, and I have merged the both.
Wonderful. It's really interesting how you're able to connect those different sides of your brain, both the creativity as well as, the data and the science. I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do.
Oh, thank you, Amy. Thank you.
So, what else should we talk about today? We've talked a lot about your specific book, but right now you're in India. What advice would you give to aspiring authors in that part of the world where you're at?
Well, to every aspiring author, I will say the beginning is the most toughest thing because we are all waiting for a perfect moment. Like we should start today. And when I grabbed my pen, I first thought, no, it's not going to work today. I will start tomorrow. And it goes on. So, to every aspiring writer, what I want to say is that just don't wait for a perfect moment. You can just grab your pen, start writing, and it is okay even if it is just one word or one line or even one paragraph. No one's gonna ask you about it. So just start writing. Because once you begin, it automatically fills up.
Oh, that's a really good point that you said about just start. So often we're afraid of failure. And one of the themes that came earlier from Hasina Patel, who writes about inspiring young girls, and she's writing a second book on empowering women, is that so often we're so afraid of failure that we don't even start.
Yes, that's an important factor. While it doesn't include just writing, even if it is like, oh, we are going to have a game or we are gonna play cricket or anything. If we are going into something new, the fear of failure, it's always there, and that what hinders us back from going forward.
No, I think that's a very powerful message as well. In your book, do you have any points where the characters are experiencing something similar to that?
Well, yes, I have described about how I started doing my practice, how I started working at a hospital, my first patient, my first case, and how I was really scared into that, and how I developed through time from being a student to a good healthcare professional. It's there.
No, I think that's really profound as well because so often we see people in the medical profession and we don't realize that behind the scenes there's somebody who might be nervous. And I think that we look at doctors and we put them on this pedestal, they're really up high here. And, what your book does is it really humanizes those aspects of healthcare.
Yes, to be a doctor, it's really strong. It's really tough. You have to be brave. You have to be strong because you're dealing with life, and within a matter of seconds, you are supposed to make good choices, good decisions, or else it would be another failure for you. So, being a doctor is tough. And of course, it is a noble profession to serve your society.
No, and I think that that's another universal too. I mean, it's great that we're able to have this as a global environment. And when you look at what you're doing, being a doctor, a medical professional, I think that this is a story that, whether you're in India, America, any place in the world, you can really relate to is, what the medical professionals are going through during this crisis.
Yes, definitely we can relate to. Because it's not like any other job. You have to spend years trying to mesmerizing so many terms, so many medicines. And the most important thing is that the science and research are always developing and you get new medicines every day. And so you have to constantly update yourself. So there is no limit to studying medicine. Every day you are a learner, every day you are a beginner.
Yeah, I think that that's a really great concept for people too. That no matter how long you're in certain career fields, there's always an opportunity for you to learn, for you to grow. I think this virus, in the medical profession, you really see where the medical professionals had to react so quickly. And they took a virus that was unknown. They took what they knew about it, they started treating it, and now they already have a vaccine for it. So really, like you said, I mean, an opportunity to go from not knowing a lot and learning into becoming an expert.
Yes, it's a tough journey, but eventually you will love it because The satisfaction you have when you save the life of a patient, that's the best gift you ever receive in your profession.
So there's a lot of people out here who are not medical professionals. And so what would your message be to them about how can they develop a better relationship with their doctors and be more understanding that you're not just doctors, but that you're human beings?
Well, that depends on the attitude of every individual, I say. Like somehow, some are like afraid to go to a hospital. Some are too scared of doctors, but I don't know why it happens. Because what I say is that doctors are very gentle to you, and you can always approach them at any time. And there are no specific hours for a doctor. You can even call them at midnight. No one's gonna torture you for that. So I will say, for any common man, you can always approach a doctor, and a doctor will be there to save you anytime.
I think that that's a really great message. And one of the comments put into the chat here is the stresses of medical professionals. And in your experience, as somebody who decided to take COVID into a positive experience and write a book, and that you also are this doctor, what stresses have you experienced over the past year?
Well, over the past year, the main thing is job because of the COVID crisis lockdown. The hospitals got closed, and only the emergency services are open. So the most difficult part is staying home jobless, and you don't have an income then, and the financial constraints are getting big. So I would say that's the most biggest challenge. And this is not the case with doctors. Everyone, almost in every field, they have faced this. But due to the good measures taken by the government as well as the other organizations, of course, there are many food supplies free delivered to people who have some financial constraints, and it's a good initiative.
Oh gosh, Dr. V, that's such an important message is, this COVID pandemic, a lot of times people feel isolated. People feel like they aren't connected. And one of the great things about technology is that, you're right here in my living room with me in Arlington, Virginia, which is, super exciting. And when I look out at the world today, I see where for some people we've allowed it to connect us and make these options. And for other people, it's like close them off. But I think that it's really shown that across the world, people are impacted by something that is global. And we're getting through this together. And it's okay to reach out and say, hey, I do feel isolated. I do need help.
Yes. But thanks to technology, like even though people are stranded at different places, at different locations, because of technology, we just have to stay connected together. And like I'm able to meet you from India to America, and we're going to be friends now, thanks
Yeah.
to
And who
technology.
knows? Maybe one day we'll get these travel restrictions lifted and I can actually go out there to India and visit you and meet you in person, which would be very exciting.
Yes, yes, definitely. You're always welcome here. Just ping me up.
Wonderful. I can't believe how quickly the time flies. Is we're getting towards the end of the interview. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to discuss that I haven't asked you about today? It just seems like we've kind of rambled this conversation everywhere, and I don't want to leave the show without you getting your message across.
Well, I have already mentioned my message that whatever your passion is, that is your dream. You have to achieve it. You have to find time for that. Because you may not love the job that you have, but you choose that job because many reasons, maybe family or finance or whatever it is. But it is all right to have some time taken apart from your job to do what you love. So, like what happened with me, I just realized that this is my dream to become an author. So, that's the case with everyone. You want to be a singer, then you have to practice singing. You have to be a dancer, then you can go practicing dancing. Because at the end of the day, it's not how much money we made or it's not the work hours we did, it's how much we love our life and how much we do what we love to do.
Oh my gosh, that is the most amazing message. And I think so many authors, their books, their passion projects. They're things that we do because we love it. We love the stories, we love the characters, or we love the message. I have a lot of nonfiction authors as well. And whether it's authors or like you said, singers, other artists, whether it's, paint or, what have you, it's a really important message that people follow their dreams. And there might be the job that we do that pays the bills, and there might be the job that we do because it's our passion and it's our hearts. Um, this project that I do here, the 24 authors in 12 hours, came about because of that, because authors didn't have a chance anymore to go into the independent bookstores and places and do book signings or go up on stage and present. And so I wanted to give authors a voice, but I also wanted to give readers an opportunity. Before, you could go to a big book festival and they would feature different authors on a stage and they would talk about the development of their book. And I think this is a great way for people to learn about different books out there, because reading can transcend boundaries, just like geographic boundaries today, and it can take you away from that space. So if you're in a space today where you're like, I don't want to look at the world, the news is all bad, it's not something that I want to deal with, pick up a good book. And I highly recommend yours, Dr. V.
Yes, definitely. That's, of course, a true message for everyone today. Those who are stressed out, hearing all the negative news every day.
Yeah. And also, if you do have children, the opportunity to read to your children, probably this is not the best children's book, but there's so many books out there. And you touched on something that so many of the authors have, is it as a love of reading when you're young just opens up so many different doorways.
Yes, that's what I feel as a friend nowadays because what I see is everyday kids are often just glued to smartphones and tablets rather than books. So I think that is a habit we should change in the future generations.
Great. I just want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I know that we had a few technical difficulties behind the scenes. We had just a little bit of a late start. And one thing about when you deal with true professionals is they come through. We were able to get this done and transcend geographic boundaries, overcome technology, and share a really amazing story. So if you want to read a story about COVID, medical professionals, romance, and read a story that's truly written, well researched, and written from the heart, I highly recommend this book.
Well, I would say I would just recommend this book here. This is my debut novel. I would like to thank the listeners who are present today, all the viewers. Thank you for hearing out to me, and please do check out for my book and give me valuable feedbacks. And as this is my first attempt, of course, there can be flaws in this. And from your feedbacks, I learn to improve myself. And because we always grow when we face challenges and failures.
Such a great message. We always grow when we face our challenges and failures. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Okay, and thank you, Amy, and thank you to all the lovely listeners of America. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you.